Anat Ronen can rightfully lay claim to the title of Houston, Texas's Queen of Public Art. Working in a wide range of mediums from house paint to tempera and chalk, the artist transforms outdoor spaces, private residences, and public buildings with images that intrigue, inspire, and bring joy. I know you're going to love meeting today's guest. If you enjoy the show, please give it a like, comment and subscribe, and share the link with your friends. And now today's episode of Alan Gorman's 15 Minutes of Fame Art TV Show.
My 15 minutes of fame, I want it. My 15 minutes of fame, I want it. My 15 minutes of fame.
So about 10 years ago, I was on Facebook and I posted a picture on Facebook, and it was an early painting that I did of a lonely big wheel truck going down an exit ramp on a highway. And my guest sent me a little message that said I should come to Houston because around Houston there's all these highways and byways, and I would find great source material there. And that kind of started our friendship. So that's my introduction to today's guest, Anat Ronen. Hello, Anat.
Hi,
Welcome to the show.
thank you for having me.
I thought that generally, all these interviews, we always start out with a bunch of backgrounder questions, but I saw that there have been some great video profiles on you. So to save time and not go over the same stuff over again, I figured let's just play a 3-minute clip that ran on one of the networks, and then we can go a little bit more in depth, if that's okay.
When I was younger, I did a lot of different things. I never took it too seriously. I never thought I would be an artist because artists don't make a living. And 7 years ago, I was in a situation that I needed to find a way to make a living out of nothing. So I started painting. I'm Anat Ronen, and I'm an artist in Houston, Texas. I always inserted a little bit of design here and there, even painted in my son's room. Some paintings for my friends, but it was never done for money, per se. We decided to come to America. I was working for a real estate investor, and we came here under a visa, and the visa is very binding. So I knew immediately that I need to find myself another solution, and that solution came with a special visa that is given for athletes, actors, musicians, and artists. So I basically put together everything I've ever done and asked for a visa. And to my great surprise, got that visa, and I started advertising my work. You know, it's like the egg and the chicken. What came first? I don't know. We came here with 3 suitcases. It was our desire to stay here and live here, and we focused on Houston because of its size, because of its climate, because of its affordability. Israel is a beautiful place. I'm always going to be Israeli. It's in me. But we have so many problems. In Houston, people just accept you for who you are. The diversity here is real. And by now, I've been to a lot of countries around the world and a lot of states in the US painting because it's fun. I didn't go to school at all. No school, not for art and not for anything else. So we started to think, what is it that we can maybe focus on and say, no, this is me, and this is I really know how to do this. I never said no. I put my ad out there, and whoever called me, I said yes. And I told them, I'll try. Worst case scenario, we just paint over it or not do it. And every time I do stuff, I'm amazed, and I'm definitely grateful for every day that I'm here and doing this and be able to stay here. So, yeah. I like it that it can play with the surroundings, the architecture, that you can actually deliver a very strong message in one image without all the clutter, without all the noise, just this, and suddenly in your face. You don't have to buy a ticket, you just see it in front of you. I like it that it's ever changing. It's ever changing, it's evolving. That's one of the things when you paint on a street art piece. It's going to be there a day, a month, a year, you never know, and that's fine. That's how it is. I think that's the main thing about doing large scale. You have to get into the mind of those who see it. And I'm not trying to change the world, but in my means now of being a street artist, then I can put my views out there and hope that it makes a difference. Really listen to your intuition. You don't have to do things just because everybody else is doing them. Just use common sense, use your intuition, and the sky's the limit, basically.
So before you came to the States, did you do any murals in Israel?
I did a few murals, a couple of murals for my son's room. I did a couple of murals for friends. Very earlier on, I did some signage, but freehand signage in Hebrew back in the day for this community center. There's been art throughout my life, but never did I ever thought that this would be my life. I call myself like the accidental artist, because I really didn't plan for it. So it just kind of happened. And I'm amazed and grateful to be given this opportunity, actually, because had we never come here to the United States, I might have never known that I have all this.
So what was the first project that you did here?
Actually, the first mural that I did here in Houston was here at home. I used our garage interior wall to just do, slap some paint and do some stuff that I, just to see if how I feel about it. I actually bought a couple of canvases and kind of did a couple things, and I'm like, that might work. I'm not sure, but let's see. And sure enough, the first mural that I got, like paid mural, was by this family. In one of the satellite cities in Houston, that they said that they waited for 7 years for somebody to come and paint a mural by their pool. Here in Houston, there's a lot of people with pool because, the weather. And so they waited for somebody. So I'm like, okay, no pressure. You're waiting for somebody for 7 years. And this is my first mural in Houston. I'll try not to panic about it. But I presented them with a design, and I did it in 3 days. And then I realized that I can do it in a fairly short amount of time. And it was kind of like, accumulating in the back of my head that, I have this. Maybe it was luck. I didn't really know if this is going to persist, but I was like, okay, there might be something in here. And then a couple of months after, I got a call from a company that was looking to hire an artist to do some more artistic jobs on the highway. There's a lot of concrete here, like we said.
That's when we communicated. You were
right
restoring the signage on the Lone Star highway system or something.
It's not. It was not restoring. It was the company that I worked with. They paint all the highways. All the concrete you see is not raw concrete, but it's painted with some kind of paint to hopefully protect it. I'm not sure what it is. It's mostly just wasting public money, but don't quote me. But anyway, they would kind of throw.
It's giving you, it's paid.
Yeah. They would throw in some more artistic project, or what they thought were more artistic project here and there, some small insignificant things. After that artist came back, they said that, they didn't work with me anymore. And so I had to find another niches and other ways to get work, and not just by luck, because Craigslist can work only so much, And the word to mouth was very slow. That I wasn't that known, or I didn't have that much body of work to show, and so I became an approved vendor at the local school system, which is, I think, the second largest in the U.S. And I became the go-to, like one of the go-to contractors to do mural work. So I did it was like 6 years of doing murals for schools. That too, I learned a lot. Of course, I did other projects as well, but that was the kind of like a more safe way to rely on some kind of an income, because I was the only provider. I'm still the only provider, so you want some kind of stability, and that was a good option.
I have to tell you that it's transformative what you do in the schools, and God bless Houston. I wish I went to school at Houston. I mean, when I went to public school, it was green and cream and institutional stuff with maybe some kids' drawings taped to the wall. That was it.
Right.
And what you do is you make it an exciting place to go. It's a lot better than being home. So I kind of like, I can understand that why Houston would want to do that. I mean, I wish they did that in New York City.
I think it has to do with the fact that Houston is affordable. Houston is very affordable. And so monies that typically would go to real estate or other places money go to are free to do some stuff like that, which is great. We chose Houston specifically for that, specifically for.
Can I ask you why Houston?
Right, because it's affordable. Because we were not going to marry our house or our where we live.
You don't want to be a house poor.
No, we don't come from money, and we don't come from and we don't have any aspirations to have a McMansion or anything like that. But so definitely this was a good choice in that term, because Houston can be very expensive and can be very affordable. It depends where you go.
Let's talk about your process a little bit. So when you make a mural, especially the big ones, you make a maquette. You work on a computer. What do you do?
I work with Photoshop. I really have to see my canvas to start the design process.
Yeah.
There's no start without that. I mean, I'm not the kind of artist that I have gazillion of ideas at any point of time in my head, but to put them on a canvas, I have to see the canvas. So typically I have to have an image. If the client sends me some photos, or if I can Google Street Map it or something like that, then I can start the process of the design. And then I start playing with ideas and compositions on that wall and see how it works. It's important to get that visual from where most of the people will see it. Some walls, for example, will be viewed very closer up, like what we see here behind me, and some will be seen only from the highway. So you don't have to get that much detail because there's no point in that. Some will be for taking selfies, so you have to have more detail, and some won't. They're just for the background, so there'll be less. So all this is, to me, is very easy to do via the computer and tablet and whatever means I get to put a design on that picture of that wall. And then it's really good to show it to the client, because then the client can see how it looks before it's painted and decide if that will work for them or not.
So something like what's behind you, where do you get the photographic swipe?
References?
Yeah.
For that particular, this particular project, it was funny because I actually went to the store and bought flowers, different flowers. It was hot pink lilies. And it was a sunny day. I went outside. I took some beautiful pictures with beautiful drop shadows. And I was so happy and so excited to do it. And I sent it to, as a mock-up to the client. And they were like, no no, we don't want that. We wanted different, different flowers and different color scheme. And no, we wanted ivy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, for this one, I just put together like different references. The ivy is one reference, but that too cut and paste into a few. I think it's called knock off roses, something like that. So those are roses that have more of petals inside, so it's more visible and they open up nicely. So I chose them. And it's basically a big collage of different photographs, sometimes of pictures that I take, and sometimes whatever I can find online. It's never one picture that I actually paint. It's always a little bit of this combination of everything.
So you spent a lot of time on the computer.
I spent a lot of design time on the computer. I became very good at specific things that really work for me. So in Photoshop, I know how to just bring stuff and put them together, and it's all good. Also, I became very good at the grid system that I work with. That's mostly my go-to system that I work to transfer the design to the wall. So I'm very quick at that, and it's very clear for me in my head to see where I'm going. So you practice every day. So essentially, I think you get it.
You got pretty good at it. So you worked on that wonderful mural for Beto O'Rourke.
That mural came from a friend of mine that wanted to have a mural and to basically encourage people to vote. That started from that, and then it became Beto. So, and then we had one wall, and then it changed it to another wall, and then it was this and it was that. And then all of a sudden I came up with this concept. And the funny thing that, and we were waiting for the right wall, or or for me not to be busy, or for her not to be busy. I don't remember. But then just as we started, or even, we're not even about to start, somebody else did some very similar concept in Austin, I think. Also of Beto being like this superhero. And it was kind of funny. I reached out to him and I'm like, look, this is on my computer since, I don't know, 2 months ago. So I'm like, it's not that I'm copying you. I just wanted to know. And he's like, no, that's fine. And
the other artists.
Yes. Yeah. Because I didn't want him to think that I saw his work and but
headache.
But my idea of it was basically that we're all longing for that superhero to come and help us all. So that was my mind. Not that I don't know him that much. I didn't know him then. I can't vote yet because we're not citizens. So I'm not that much into the specifics of people who are not, obviously I know what's going on on the top, and generally so, but people who are not in the top, like Beto, I didn't know him that much. I mean, he stroked me as a nice person.
You work in so many different mediums. You just play.
Mm-hmm. I'm the realistic version of whatchamacallit, Pollock. He used to say that he's playing with paint. So I play with paint, but I don't play. I mean, it doesn't look like a mess. I just play and it looks like this, but I play as well.
One of the interviews I did with an abstract artist, he said he uses anything but a brush. Anything but a brush.
Yeah.
But portraits on hollow frame doors and cardboard, watercolors, Post-it note art. I love those. Part of your payment is I need you to do me a 3x3 portrait of me. That's your payment for today. But can you talk to some of those things? What do you love to do? What's some of your favorite pastimes, or you just pick out whatever?
I don't have a pastime.
Come on, you do so. You do that for yourself.
I don't.
It's for your self-enjoyment, right?
Well, I do everything. I'm very, very grateful and lucky to kind of have those two worlds merge. The commission work and what I love to do. And it's great because it means that I enjoy what I do for a living and what I do as a commission. So that thing is covered. Sometimes I have to have um, some thoughts let out. Sometimes I really have to kind of change direction or niche. So for example, if I paint a lot of portraits or a lot of nature or a lot of specific thing, then I will go and paint me some still life or something like that. Just because I feel that, I don't know, I feel that I need to change. I specifically, I speak 3 languages, and when you kind of take a break from one language and speak another, it kind of, when you get back to that language, it's a whole different feeling. It's like you encounter a good friend again, and you kind of find new words or kind of find your way through the words. So that's how I feel about mediums and about scales and about substrates. So I like to kind of go from one thing to the other, like from small to large, from large scale to, this, from on the floor to on the wall. And that keeps me sharp because, and it keeps me engaged with my mediums.
So let's talk about one of your old friends or new friends, the anamorphic street drawings. They're so much fun. I mean, they're amazing.
Well, actually, the piece behind me is partially, has a touch of anamorphic because you see the 2 sides, they continue, even though they're on walls that are not a flat wall.
Like a
And
3D.
so that was kind of, I added like an element of that. So what we do essentially in anamorphic, and I explain it in a very simple way, we correct that distortion that is done by the horizontal or vertical perspective. So here, for example, I took the walls that are, how do you say it? They're going that way. Yes. Okay, whatever. But I corrected that distortion because if I would just carry over my design around the corner, that will look too small to shrink. It will shrink.
So it would be distorted because it would have
right. Because right. So here I just stretched it back and corrected that distortion. So that's what we do also on the floor and on the wall as well. We just
you work that out in Photoshop.
There's a whole math to it basically, but what I do, yes, what is the simplest way to do it is that you basically, let me see, you take a picture of the floor or that you want to work on, and basically mark down the area that you were going to work on. So you have that area that is basically a square, but it's not a square because when you look at it, it's already distorted because it's on the horizontal ground. And then on Photoshop, with Photoshop, I start to see what works on that area. If it's something that I like, if it's something that I work, if it's big enough, if it's small enough, if it makes sense to have it there or not. Once I'm happy with the design, then I will take that right looking design with the distorted image, distorted background, or ground, and correct it back to what it should be, which is a square. Now, when I do that, when I correct the square to the square, I distort the image itself, and then it gives me the distortion that I need to work from.
So somewhere that you call yourself an introvert, but the street art, that's kind of very extroverted and very public performance almost.
Yeah.
So how do you find dealing with that?
Well, as long as I'm working, I'm at work, I have no problem interacting with people. The minute I stop working, that's like Cinderella that loses her shoe. I'm out of there. I can't stand and just mingle and just small talk with people and hang around my piece and explain it is just not working. I'm like, as long as I work, I have all my energies like focused on the work that I do. And if somebody else is asking, I have no problem reacting and interacting with them. But that's it. So it's kind of weird. I don't know how that works, but for example, I had a few events that I had to paint, so people, and people would come and see, and then I was supposed to stay there and either help them understand what they're looking at, because a lot of times when you do anamorphic work, people don't really understand what they look at. I mean, it's very nice on the photo, but on site it's a whole different thing. So usually there needs to be some coaching if it's not a full-blown festival that people already know what to expect. And being there and trying to interact with people and trying to tell them what to do is really tricky, because a lot of people don't want anybody to tell them what to do. Now it's those days that you're like, everybody knows better. And even if you're the artist that just painted it, it has nothing to do with with them listening to you or not. So you're in this position that you're this public servant that is supposed to stay there and help them if they want to, but stay out of the way if they're not. And it's all about your piece. So it's a whole strange. It's very strange.
I love seeing everything you do. I mean, even what you're working on now. I mean, I went and I went and I researched your bodies of work. I would say body of work. Bodies of work.
It's a lot.
A lot of work. And how long since you started doing this in the States?
I started in late 2008.
So 2008 to now. So that's like 13 years?
12, I would say.
Yeah, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of works of art. I mean,
Right.
You're so prolific, and God bless you. So
I feel that because I never thought that I would do this, because it was never in the back of my mind, because I never went to school for it, and because I started late. The what?
You're making up for lost time.
Making up for lost time. It's like this volcano that just started to erupt, and it just keeps going because it was kind of stuck so long.
Yeah. So I got a profound question to ask you. So I know you're busy, and you're always in the moment, and you're always like, got a lot on your plate and stuff like that. But do you have a desire, a goal for what you want from all this?
No.
I mean, if it was your eulogy and somebody was reading your, saying how to say some words about you, what would you want them to say?
She lived a good life. She had an amazing gift and she loved giving it back. That's it. I have a big following, some of them, from like a wide spectrum of, ages and professions and financial statuses and whatnot. And some of them are older women that look at me as like, well, you are us when we were younger, but we never did it. So we just applaud you and we're happy for you. And it's great. I'm like, yeah, if I'm your vision of what you should have done, but you can't do, or what you want to do, but you don't have the guts for, and I'm giving you that inspiration, so be it.
I'm not a woman, but you're inspiring me. Anyway, great. Your website is Anat Ronen, ANATRONEN, and your Instagram, social media, stuff like that. What is that?
Anat Ronen, 1971.
Okay, I'm not even going to ask what that means, but I know.
Well, that's my birth year.
Yes,
Yeah. Soon I'll be 50, which is weird even to say, but yes.
So you're not old. You're a kid.
Depends when you look at it.
Well, I look pretty good for 95. Right,
yes, you do.
That's all I have. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. If you enjoyed watching today's show, please help boost our views with a like and a comment. And click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of Alan Gorman's 15 Minutes of Fame Art TV show.